on what are the sessions that are coming up. But first to you, Simone. Can you hear me well? Can you see me?
Yes.
Perfect. Simone, how was your session? You're joining us from Bonn, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, a little outside of Bonn, actually, but true.
Okay. That's nice. If you look at your session, I mean, how did it go? And if you look at what are your takeaways, like 2 or 3 things that you think were really enriching from what people discussed, from the things that you take away from the session?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, our session, well, maybe just because not everyone attended, obviously, the name was From Coping to Adaptation. It was on integrated strategies for resilience building towards water-related risks and with a focus on the most vulnerable. And that is actually what we also had presentations on. So we had a super nice presentation from our colleague, Divya Rajeswari on a fishery community actually in Sri Lanka and how far they are adapting to climate change and then what their adaptation and mitigation strategies are. And there I found it particularly interesting that there, of course, are strategies, and I hope Divya is here and I'm not quoting her wrongly, but that there are also some super interesting strategies that force them, for instance, to work together. So not everything has to be for the bad, but there's also some like very promising ways. But on the other hand, of course, they're very often forced into short-term coping instead of a long-term approach and long-term adaptation, so that in the long run, strategies might even be harmful. And there was kind of backed by the other presentations. So unfortunately, we only had 2 presenters there, but that gave a little more time for discussion. And then Minh Tu from Vietnam gave a very nice presentation on how to manage flood risk in Vietnam based on a literature survey. And one of the outcomes was that there's so many factors to it, beyond the only technical ones, but he kind of identified also some gaps where to look into more in the future.
Great. So it was a fruitful session. I had the chance to just sneak in, some of the sessions in between for a few minutes. I saw active participation also by people. I think you had around 40 plus people there. Isn't that true? Nice. That's nice. How does this session help you to sort out things in your head, perhaps? Did you get good feedback that it helps you to move on and to carry on with your work?
Well, I hope that was the case for all of us, for all the participants, because we had some very nice interaction, mostly through the chat, but that was really active, and then we appreciated that a lot, my colleague Dominic and I. So how did it help us? It certainly helped us, I hope the others also, in getting a sense that all of us regarded communication and dialogue as most crucial. So having the information about risks and vulnerabilities, only that will help us then to develop strategies for the most vulnerable, but also we regard it as a call for integrating that more into research, having that notion on who is most vulnerable, how far are they vulnerable, what are like adequate strategies for particular communities within their settings.
That's great. That sounds very, very good. So thank you very much, Simone. And I mean, everyone, please stay in touch with Simone and also, of course, the other speakers. There's the matchmaking event where you can also meet up again and further exchange your ideas. Thanks a lot, Simone, for your input and the session insight. I see already that Johannes Hamhaber is here on the screen. I will turn to the future sessions, the afternoon sessions from a German perspective in a moment. I want to try and see whether Trin is already with us from Vietnam, because we would like to hear from them as well, how their session went. I'm checking the participants list, whether I can spot the Vietnam colleagues. but maybe the session is still ongoing. That could well be the case. And Oscar, my colleague who's sitting here in the room with me, by the way, he just confirmed because he has the whole overview and sees what's going on. But then one remark, and then we would go to perhaps Johannes Hamhaber for a little outlook on the sessions in the afternoon. You should be aware that we have graphic recording going on basically throughout the conference. And Simone, you know that already, obviously, which is a great thing. And you will have to stay in until 2:20 p.m. German time to actually get a first glimpse on that graphic recording, which is prepared by our colleague Birgit, but more on that later. Johannes, can I ask you to join us here and to give us a bit of an outlook on what's going to happen in the afternoon? I believe you are with the Technical University of Köln. It's in the background. We can see it. And you will have a session on urban water under climate change, transition management and governance. Why should we attend your session? Why should we tune in and not miss it?
Well, thank you very much for giving me the word. I actually was protocoling also the standard session of the morning, if in case somebody needs a record for that. I can also give you this one. But we can put that whatever you want. I'm not sure whether somebody else is reporting on that one at the moment.
No one. If you want to give us 2 sentences on that, would be nice.
I could give it. A very interesting thing, because what we could see is in the approach that we moved away from a very grassroots level that we often see with decentralized WASH, where people do it for themselves with local materials, and all this idea of having local ownership is now, with a professionalization, moving out towards having standards that guarantee a certain minimum performance. One of the deficits was clearly that local capacity to maintain and operate those things for long term would lead to, let's say, dysfunctionality, leakage, etc. So there was a very strong call for, let's say, standardization, coming from labels towards national standards that may be voluntary to national standards that would be mandatory, and even to an international standard on ASEAN level, because the focus was ASEAN. And in the end, it could well happen that there would be mutual accreditation. So if Thailand, for example, accredits a certain technology built in Thailand, it could be placed in Indonesia, and they would just put a stamp on the import and make it available somewhere in the islands and stuff. But that certainly is a massive, for me as a social scientist, a massive turn away from a classical community-led approach towards more technology, upscaled, potentially also economies of scale approach. So it was a very interesting session to see how this whole thing professionalizes as more people go to urban areas. We didn't know that of that technology running and rolled out reliably functional, right? So quite a conflict of two hearts in my breast here about what happens here.
Okay, but I believe that, well, this is a strong argument, and there's quite a conclusion from that session. That's good to hear. Thank you for that insight. Now, if we turn to the afternoon and the session that I mentioned earlier, urban water and the climate change, what is it that we will look into there?
Our session in the afternoon is not a closed session in the sense that we invited the group we already know. It was a very open call, and therefore we have a relatively broad diversity. But the core idea here is that we wanted to look into mainly the social and governance perspective of how water can be linked with poverty, inequality in urban planning. So we have actually thought about 4 presentations. Actually, one dropped out shortly. So we will look in water sensitivity. In Bangalore, we'll look into green infrastructure and sustainable urban water management in Jordan, and look into water sensitivity again with development plans that would be a comparison between Australia and India. And there will be an upcoming poster which looks largely into urban water under the base of tourism scenarios, where water becomes a tourism element. So our focus is not so much on water as a resource specifically, but how we as people kind of assign values, how we address this, and how we negotiate that. And I think that gives the whole thing a nice knack, right?
Perfect. Thanks so much, Johannes. So that means that there's also a poster that can be found in the poster booth, I believe?
Yep, that would be number 208.
Nice how you slip. Oh, the number?
208.
208. Nice how you slip this in. So please also take the opportunity to visit the poster booth to get more information on that. I would like to invite Daniela Gomez, who should also be in the call. She was earlier, and immediately the picture is coming up. Hi Daniela, how are you doing? From where are you joining us?
Right now from Hamburg, but I'm from the Food Security Center, which is in Stuttgart in Germany.
All right. Very nice that you're here. What session are you chairing, I believe, in the afternoon, and why? What do you want people to take away from that session?
Well, I'm going to be at co-moderating the session Building Resilient Food Systems Through Efficient Water Use at 2:30 Central European Time. And well, I could not recommend you all enough to join us. What I want you to take with you from that session is that, well, as we know, water management is one of today's greatest challenges, and this session should offer an opportunity or a platform to exchange experiences on how to make efficient use of this very scarce resource that we have. Yeah, we will have 4 presentations who will give us insights into this topic from different perspectives. For example, one of them will share with us a case from the Andean region where they support food security through the use of hydroponic vertical systems using rainwater harvesting. And we will also have another presentation on agricultural productivity and water use efficiency in the Eastern Nile countries. Yeah,
You're traveling around the globe then?
Yes,
you
yes.
You really have a journey in front of you. That's really nice.
Yes, we will have also another case from Mexico. So
Mexico as well.
It's going to be very international.
Right. We have the switch then later, right? Also for like people from Latin Central America to join us. So that's perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daniela. And I guess all of you now have, a hard choice to make, which session you want to attend. I would like to bring in another colleague, Alexandra Naudit from the Technical University. And I hope Alexandra is here. Right now, I don't see her video, her picture popping up. Maybe there is some issues. Oscar is checking for me. She is here. Actually, Alexandra, are you there? Are you with us? Not yet. Then let me try Trin, Vietnam. Okay, I just see a sign from Oscar. He's holding me these signs here, you can't see that, but I can see, and that's why I'm looking there. So he's saying Mekong session still ongoing. They have a lot to talk about, apparently, which is good. I hope they will find their way back to us then also later, but I'm sure they have a lot to report. Well, I guess then we would leave it there for the moment. I would like to thank Johannes, I would like to thank Daniela, and of course Simone for sharing insights from the sessions that have already happened, and for those from those that will actually happen later on. What's next on the agenda? I have to check myself. Well, as usual, you will go to the lobby and you will have some, well, you can have a break, of course. You go to the lobby, you have some entertainment. I think the music is really enjoyable. I listened to it earlier. And please stay tuned, because as I said, later on, we will have the first pictures also of the graphic recording. Birgit has been recording the morning sessions and all those sessions that are in plenary. Unfortunately, she cannot hop from session to session and see the parallel sessions, but she will show us some pictures of the plenary and later on also from the technical sessions. All right, with this, I thank you very much, and I will see you one more time today when I visit my upstairs neighbors in the lobby. Guys, thank you very much. See you later.